Hello and welcome to The Road to Knoxville on Speed Stories. Today we talk to two different families who are actually joined. The Dumsneys, a sprint car royalty in Australia, particularly through Dad Max, who raced in the United States of America with distinction in the late 80s and into the 90s as well. Well, his daughter Michaela these days lives in Bloomington, Indiana, where she's studying, and of course she's with her partner Craig Kinzer. So the Kinzers and the Dumsneys are merged as one, and their stories, though different, are fundamentally the same as well. Looking forward to today's program, and of course we also are going to stop by the Sides Bar and Grill. What are Jason and Paul Sides up to these days? You're about to find out. I like doing this. I like hanging out with drivers and their missos. You know what a misso is, right?
Yeah.
You've been to Australia enough times, right?
I gotta live with her, so I gotta to survive. I gotta understand the lingo.
The lingo, I love it. The cheese and kisses, right?
Yeah.
The rhyming slang.
Well, I can always tell when she's on the phone with Australia because accent gets a little thicker. Again, back to its normal deal, and she starts saying words that I barely understand the meaning of. So.
Well, she has developed a slight Indiana twinge occasionally, but in your defense, Michaela, we both know that sometimes you have to roll your R's for people to understand what the hell we're talking about, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've been told, like last night, they said, "Oh, we could actually understand you." I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Does it mean I've lost my accent? Or
It's hard, it's not hard to do because you literally have to be understood.
Yeah. I wish we had some more Australian shows over here. Maybe I could keep up to date with some more accent, but
I've seen some Australian shows, not over here.
Yeah.
Had to look them up.
Yeah, that's right. Ice road truckers and stuff like that.
Ice
Well,
road truckers.
that's probably Alaska. Before we get started, I got to say you look lovely, Michaela. You recently had a birthday somewhere in your 20s. That's all I can say.
yeah.
It's been a rough year for you. You had a bit of a wreck.
I did. There's this big bike race at IU. It's a huge tradition. Obviously, the Kinzer family's from Bloomington, and IU's
Yep.
massive there. And I haven't been able to race a car in a long time with college debt. So I found this bike race. It was on a quarter-mile cinder track, and
Are we talking push bike or motorbike here?
no, it's push bike,
Right.
bicycles. So
Bike. Yeah, can't call them push bikes here, can you?
Yeah, but so I joined the team, and I've been trying to do that ever since I started. But one thing or another pops up, and this year I was set to join our team of 4 to race a bike race. It was created by a son of a former Indy 500 winner. So there's 33 teams that start, and you do exchanges, and it's pretty dangerous actually. But yeah, it was fun until the crash.
It's all
What?
for charity.
Huh?
It's all for charity.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
What was explain the crash? Did you jump the cushion? Like what happened?
I rode a wheel, I suppose you could put it
You
in
rode a wheel?
terminology.
Wow.
No, we were drafting, and you draft probably.
You were drafting?
Yeah, you draft about that close to each other and the wheels, and my front wheel hit my teammate's rear wheel, and it's no different to a rear versus a front in these things. And I went over and cracked my helmet all the way through in about 2 or 3 places, snapped my collarbone in half, and had a metal plate and 7 screws put in, and a nice concussion for about a month or so. I can't really remember that night, but yeah. So anyway, the rest is history. But Dad reckons I probably should hang the bicycle up and
That's
get in the roll
rich.
cage.
That's rich coming from your dad, who a couple of months later broke his collarbone really badly in a motorbike
He
crash.
did. He said, "I'm just trying to keep up with you." I'm like, "Yeah." Okay.
He hit a tree, and those trees probably hadn't moved. Just
No,
saying.
No.
You got a daredevil missus here, mate. By the sound of it.
I know.
How do you guys do this? You're on the road a lot. She's at school a lot, or college a lot. Plus, you're doing a lot of cool things, lots of different sports with broadcasting and stuff. How do you make it work, Craig? Because obviously you want to see her and she wants to see you. How do you work the distance?
I just learned to work it. Not easy, but it's tough, but it works out for us. Obviously, want her around the track more often, but she's pretty ambitious girl, so she's got her own stuff she likes doing, and just try and be supportive when I'm not there. And like when she had her accident, I was out in California racing.
Yeah.
I didn't see her again for another 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, he was kind of surprised when he seen me. He was like, "Oh, you're almost good again." What?
Yeah.
His poor mum had to look after me the whole time. So.
It's a great story, your story, because the Kinses of America and the Dumsneys of Australia, the Dumsneys are the Kinses of Australia in many respects. So it's a great sprint car love story, if you don't mind me using that term, Craig. Two of the most famous families on respective continents. How did you guys first think, hey, let's spend a bit of time together?
The first time we really actually talked was probably here in Knoxville, and it just started communicating from there, and then just eventually led in to seeing if it'd work, and just doing the boyfriend and girlfriend thing. So,
yeah, long distance to start with, which was hard.
Very long distance.
Yeah.
Just
Michaela and I would talk. We'd have a coffee and talk about it, and she's like, "I don't know if this guy's for me. He's a bit rough. He's always out drinking and stuff." And she didn't say any of that. She was just like, "Oh, I really miss him." It's great that you have made it work. How often do you get on the road with him?
So whenever they're local out in the Midwest, I try and join him. Every year, I try and always make the best of both worlds. A lot of the time he's telling me I'm trying to squeeze too much in, but I'll make my class schedule so I can it'll generally be Tuesday, Thursday, so I can travel with them on the weekends when they are in town. But when they go out to California, they're generally gone for about 8 weeks, and then after the Nationals for about 5, I think. So those ones I can't really go to. It's too hard to get away from school, and it's pretty expensive to fly from here to California. So we're lucky we have FaceTime and all that kind of technology these days, and I'm usually pretty busy with classes and all the things I'm doing, so it kind of, I don't know, I'm pretty focused when he's gone, so I keep myself busy. And
you're focused when I'm there.
He usually distracts me a little bit.
One would hope so. Put down the books, honey. I mean, you're both used to this.
I'm usually the one telling her to get to the book.
Oh, really?
He's like a sticker. Oh, he's such a by the rules all the time.
Really?
I'll be there like procrastinating to the last moment to get the assignment in and be like, "Have you done that assignment yet?" I'm like,
how are you with the books, can I ask, Craig?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm sensing an irony here, Michaela.
No, he was actually a teacher's pet. He was
really?
a TA.
Oh, you're going off the stories from people who love me. So.
He helped the TA his final year with something to do with graduating, but the wrestling.
Teacher's pet.
Yeah, I worked in the office. So it was, I'd like to think they liked me a little bit in the office, but my high school career was pretty good. I decided I didn't want to go to college. Broke my mom's heart, but I told my dad I want to go try the sprint car thing out and see if I could do that the rest of my life, and I ended up not doing the education deal. Wish I would have, and wish I still would have been here too. I think it would have been a little busy, but I think it would have made it work a little bit more. But only my brother and sister, I'm the only one that hasn't been to IU, so which is my backyard. It's in my opinion, the greatest college there is. So, but when you grow up in Bobby Knight country, and the basketball and football program's getting better. We're not quite to, Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State. We ain't Michigan. We ain't quite on, but we're working our way up there. Maybe sometime soon we'll be there in football, which would be nice.
Can you mention music, please? Because there's a bit of a god from Bloomington, right? Oh, Mellencamp? Yes, yeah. Mellencamp.
Yeah, he definitely always bring up that. I actually, the last concert I got to see, man, it was a long time ago. But I was actually in Seattle. He's from he lives in Bloomington.
Yeah.
And I always did he used to do all kinds of concerts there for the IU students area, because he's a big booster. They had the Mellencamp Pavilion, which is tennis, or just a big
it's football.
Indoor football.
Yeah.
He's a big booster, and I actually saw him out in Seattle with John Fogerty, and it was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Not that I get to go to too many concerts in the summertime, because I'm usually busy on the weekends, but it was a fun time, especially out of about as far away from Indiana as you can get.
So correct me if I'm wrong, though. Did one of John Mellencamp's guitarists, wasn't he a big fan of your dad's? And wasn't there a song called King of the Hill, which was kind of a bit based on your dad's racing program?
Yeah, definitely a little bit. Yeah, they were all race fans. They did movies. A movie back then. They had sprint car T-shirts on in it. And,
That's cool.
Bloomington's. It's a nice side. It's a big town, but it's not.
Yeah.
Too big. I mean, everybody. As good as my dad was, a lot of people. Most of the town knows who he is and stuff like that. So he was pretty well known around there, and obviously Mellencamp was pretty well known around there. So they became friends. I actually went to school with some of the band members' kids, and
nice.
It's just a community we're in. IU brings in quite a few other signs. Actually, when the school's in, and Bloomington's twice as big as what it normally is. So,
yeah, right.
It's my hometown, beautiful place to live, and I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michaela, I mean, your dad's a legend, so it's no stranger, that concept to you. It's kind of cool that, like, your boyfriend's dad's some guy called Steve Kinzer, though. I don't know, it's just normal for you because, he's just your boyfriend's dad.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool.
It is cool.
Especially when you're hanging out with him at Dingus while your boyfriend's asleep, like.
Well, he asked me to keep an eye on him, so.
He was pretty well behaved, I think.
He was. But it's awesome. The Kins is, I don't know, a lot of people don't really get to see, the behind the scenes side of all these drivers, but when you do, they are just another family, but
yep.
They are like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like Dana, I see her as my mom. Like I go around there all
yep.
the time and chat to her because I can't see my family. But yeah, it was pretty cool. On last Thursday, actually, I wanted to play some backyard cricket for my barbecue birthday.
That's right. Yes.
And
yes.
Steve and Dad thought it would be hilarious. The two up there, I don't know, it was like blind leading the blind, but they mowed a strip.
Really?
For a pitch.
Nice.
And they were so excited. They said, we've got to go play cricket. We made it all. I'm like, what are you talking about? But they're just so caring and supportive and like just little things like that. They're constantly just very caring. So
I think if I ever had an opportunity to hang out with the Kinses, I'd want to have one Christmas with Carl. Because that guy seems like, is he still, just a little bit left of center? Because, gosh, he's a great interview.
Oh, last time I seen him, he never changed much. He's got some stories and can tell them pretty well. So last time I seen him, things did not change a bit. He still looks like how I remember him when I was a kid. So he's definitely a character, and he'll never change. That's for sure. So he'll always be that way.
He taught me the word hoop de blah.
Hoop de blah.
I'd never heard of that word, hoop de blah, but he was talking about a tire rule or something, and he said the Outlaws and all their hoop de blah. I thought, okay, I guess I can see where he's going. Craig, you look $1 million, mate. What's the go? You're a shadow of your former self.
Yeah, I got on a diet program with a sponsorship, and it's been Profile came on board with us this year. Did a few races. We got another race left this year, and I didn't expect them to change my programming around as much as they have. It's been pretty good the way it worked out. I wasn't expecting the big weight loss. They've changed my whole outlook on as far as with the health side of going up and down the road. I've tried to eat healthy before going up and down the road. It's not easy. I never thought it was really, to be honest with you, possible. But they definitely changed my mindset in that. And found a program that works out for me and Mikey. We both lost some weight now, and we're working hard to keep it off.
Just down there, literally just down there, you climbed a fence 14 years ago on a random whim because you won the Knoxville Nationals. Be awfully nice to do that again. I reckon you'd just about be able to poll vote over it at the moment. You look that good. Any chance you repeat that if you win again?
You never know. Like I said, it wasn't planned then, and I know I haven't planned anything for the next one if it gets to that point. I just want to. At this point, I just want to, have the opportunity come Saturday, still feel like I'm in the fight. Definitely a great bunch of cars and a great bunch of drivers here, and hopefully if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and we'll be at least in the race Saturday, and hopefully battling for the win.
Tell me something you love about Michaela.
Ooh, probably it's a love-hate, but her determination. She gets pretty pushy in her drive to finish something, whether it's whatever it is it's pretty nice. But at some points she gets hard-headed, and it can be pretty difficult too. But that's what I love about her.
She gets that from her dad. Tell me something you love about Craig, Michaela.
His passion for the sport and dedication for everything he does. He's always the fact that, it hasn't been easy over the last few years, and he's not only taken over the race team for himself, but he's dedicated himself, and he is a very, very caring person, so I love that about him.
She didn't mention anything about frustration in her sentence, Craig.
So it happens. She's very nice to me.
I love seeing you guys together. It's kind of been cool over the last couple of years to watch how it's all unfolded and how you guys have got closer. I love the passion you both share for it, and I love how your families are so entwined, even when they raced together back in the day or against each other. So it's a real thrill for me to see you looking so well, you looking so beautiful, and hopefully you get to climb that fence, mate.
Yeah, hopefully.
Summer in Sydney, Australia will be sweet this Christmas. Get out of the cold, America, and come down under to the 2020 Ultimate Sydney Speed Week and Ultimate Speedway Nationals at Valvoline Raceway, Parramatta. Watch the Big Cat Brad Sweet and Texan Aaron Reitzel, plus several other USA stars take on the Aussies. From December 26 until January 18, we've got more sprint cars, midgets, and late models than you can shake a shrimp at. Can't get there? Get online and watch it live or on demand on clayperview.com. Well, it's a beautiful winter's morning in Nelson in New South Wales in Australia, where we find Max Dumsney in the heart of your race shop. Geez, if the walls in here could talk, Max.
Absolutely, downtown Nelson.
This is where all the post-race debriefs go on, isn't it?
Yep. We've been having some great debriefs here, playing cornhole and all sorts of things lately.
For those people, in America that remember your racing, back when you ran at Knoxville and you ran with the great Bob Trossel, your great friendship you had with him. What have you been doing in the last few years with your business, with your Hoosier racing tyres?
Well, basically, Hoosier, we've been trying to expand it into all the different markets. We've got road racing, motocross.
That would be your son, Matt.
Rally, drag racing. We've got a great collection of tyres for all the different classes, so we're really expanding.
And the cool part is you've got great relationships with people like, George Elliott and Kim Jane and people like that you raced against in your NASCAR days, are now doing this really cool TA2 Trans Am series.
Yeah, that's a great series. They almost look like older NASCARs, and they're very competitive and very inexpensive. So it's a building class.
So you've got your dirt stuff, obviously your speedway, your oval track stuff. You've got your circuit racing stuff. Is there anything else that you need to branch into? Have you done drags and stuff as well?
Yeah, we've got drags. We've got, in the door slammers, just about everyone runs Hoosiers. We've got some great tyres there. And the rally tyres, we've got a great rally tyre, and it's right up there with the Pirellis and motocross tyres. Well, we're just cracking the market with those. It's very hard to get into, but they're going really well.
How was your motocross riding going, Max? I did hear a sniff that you might have laid down recently on a dirt bike.
Yeah, I tried to knock a tree down. It didn't work very well. I got an extra bone sticking up here right now that we need to go get tied down, apparently. So that might be part of my off-season, getting that fixed, I think.
What brought that about, Max? Were you out playing with your sons at all in any respect?
Yeah, just a couple of mates. We get training ready to go to Vietnam for a trail ride through the mountains. I thought it would be good to do a few laps or a few hours riding prior, and I'm not sure what happened. I think I hit a rock, shot me into the bush.
So we're in your race shop. and there's a number of sprint cars in here. How many years have you been racing sprint cars for now, Max?
I believe it'd be around 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and then Formula 500s for a few years before that, and then bikes for a few years before that. So,
because that's where you were headed with your your motorbike career was where you were sort of headed originally, wasn't it?
yeah, well, that was an affordable accomplishment in those days. But yeah, we got off that track after trying to kill a cow on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. So it'd be well over 40 years in the racing.
And your dear old dad, your lovely dad, wasn't a big fan of you racing sprint cars and things like that, was it? I don't think he'd ever understand the expense, could he?
No, he didn't see that where it was going to take me. But he did definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
In the later years.
I remember you saying to me that one of the nights when you won the Proton, when you won the Speed Week series, and he could actually see something tangible that you'd won in front of him rather than, a dollar figure that he'd heard about, that he was actually quite proud.
Yeah, he was. He was absolutely stoked when we won the Speed Week series. He won the little jump buck sitting over there in the paddock.
So you're looking a little bit sad, the jump buck at the moment.
Yeah, it needs a little help.
And would you have dreamed all those years ago that at some point you'd have 4 kids that raced in some form or another? You'd have a business that 100% relies on motor racing?
No, I wouldn't have ever thought that was quite possible, but it has turned out that way. And with spreading around the world, Michaela's over working in America for Andretti Motorsport.
Yeah.
So that's something totally different that you would never have expected.
Yeah, and I mean, a partner is Craig Kinzer, so you've got a relationship with the Kinzer family as well, and all the years that you raced against the king, and now your daughter dates his son.
Heavily entrenched into Indiana, isn't she?
Absolutely, she's doing a great job. Matt is an absolute tear-ass. I mean, he is very, very fast in sprint cars. Marcus is fast and quite smooth. He's a bit more of a professor with that sort of stuff and with the technology of the cars. And Mitchell was like a 2-time Parramatta champion as well.
Yeah.
So they've all had, and Michaela raced wingless as well, so they've all had some time behind the wheel, and 2 of you boys still racing flat out.
Yep. Marcus actually was the winningest driver at Parramatta last year with 3 feature wins. Well,
yeah.
and Marcus, Matt won one as well. I didn't quite get there, but the boys are going great.
What are you going to do this year? You still going to have a few skids?
I'll have a few skids, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, have a look around, see what's going on.
What started America for you? When was your first trip to the States, and why?
It basically was put together between Bob Trossel and John Sidney. Really, that was my first racing event. I went over prior to that as a mechanic in the early 80s with Bonds Bradford.
Yeah.
But I went over and drove with Trossel and in 85 and had a pretty eventful year.
What an icon of the sport Bob Trossel was.
Yeah, without a doubt. He was a legend. And he could remember everything, every lap, who passed who, when, where, and he'd be driving down the road and he'd be telling you about a race 10 years ago and who ran where, and he remembers every little thing.
And he's probably a lot like you, Max. He's a man of few words. Like, Bob wasn't someone that would just rattle off and you couldn't shut him up. When he spoke, it was worth listening to.
Definitely. Yeah, if he spoke, he was definitely worth listening to. He was very informative.
What are your memories of Knoxville the first time you drove it?
I just thought it was awesome the first time I drove it. Like, it was just a track that had 2 great lines. You had a top and a bottom, and they were always there, and you could just drive the wheels off the thing. Like back in the day, though, we were talking a 410 engine that produced something like our 372s now, or even probably the 360 cars are as fast as the 410s back in 85. So yeah, it wasn't blisteringly fast compared to now, but it felt fast and it felt fantastic, and I kept going back year after year whenever I could afford to it. I think I went back probably 10 or 12 years. It was sort of home away from home.
Now, your wife Melinda raced at Knoxville as well, and she surprised quite a few people.
Yeah, she did great. She was actually the fastest qualifying Australian at Knoxville one particular year when we were there. And I think she was the first female to ever make an A main at Knoxville, so she set some ground for the other girls to try and beat, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of your boys racing over there sort of continues that whole history for your family. Is something you must be very proud of.
Yep, without a doubt. Well, Matt and Marcus haven't got to Knoxville yet. Mitchell got to have a run there in 2010. Hopefully Marcus is going to get a run there this year. So that should be good.
Yeah, and your father-in-law, Sid Moore, is a bit of an icon around those parts as well. Sid, had a home there for a lot of years, and a lot of people raced through Sid over that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we set up a race shop there, Max Sumsy Motorsport, and which Sid owned, and Titch ran for a while, and he had a house just out of Knoxville on the lake. It was home away from home. It was a great place to be. It had some great memories.
The race of states, that's always a race that Americans still remember. That incredible race that was probably the precursor to what the World Challenge became, where you raced, it was a representative thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was race of states or...
State of origin kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
The best from each state or country, and yeah, we represented Australia and won the race. It was awesome, absolutely mind-blowing.
And who was the guy that gave you plenty towards the end of that race?
Yeah, Wolfie. Yeah, he slid me with a lap to go, and I just turned right, went up over the cushion, drove back around him. The crowd went nuts. That was great. Got to almost hear him in the car.
Is that one of the truly great moments of your career, Max?
Yep, absolutely. To go there and beat or finish in front of Wolfie and Kinzer was just unbelievable.
What year was that? Was that around 85?
85.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And the locals got together and they got a wooden boot. They made me a wooden boot with a plaque on it. We kicked the Outlaws at Knoxville.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You still got it?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Do you know where it is?
Yep.
Good. We're going to go looking for that in a minute.
It's in my office, yeah.
That's way cool. Every year the Sides Bar and Grill just gets bigger and bigger. Let's go and catch up with Jason Sides. I don't know what's going on here. So let's catch up with Jason Sides and find out what he got going on for me this year, man. Last year we didn't do anything.
Well, we've had a lot of rainouts this year. We took about a year and a half to get this one going, and I think you'll enjoy it.
So there's a renewed fitness on sort of physical approach this year to your fitness program, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, a lot of fitness, yeah.
All right, so I guess we can have a look inside. The last 2 years we've had you been producing your own beer and doing all sorts of cool stuff. Let's check out where they're going this year.
Yeah, not a problem.
Slow it down in there, try to float wet. Slow down, try to float wet.
What about it, Wade? What about it? Looking nice, huh?
How long have you been working on this?
Well, we didn't do one last year. We've been about a year and a half now, and trying to get everything ready, put together for Knoxville here.
What was the inspiration behind the indoor pool in Sides Bar and Pool?
Well, Paul loves to swim. Back in the Olympics, when he was swimming for America and did the Olympics, he loves to do the breaststroke. So.
Yes. But where do you put the race car?
Sometimes they don't make it. Like I told you before, priorities are priorities. We got this little trailer now that Paul pulls sometimes. We'll put it in there and we got to pull it ourselves.
So come on down to the Sides Bar and Pool in turn 3 and 4, where you can do a couple laps, Paul.
You can make some laps, get wet, get fresh. You're gonna love it.
And what drinks do we have down here?
We got Bud Light and Icy, the Recipe's Ice. You'll love it. Come on down. It's $5 a cup. Can't beat it.
Always fun with the boys from Sides Bar and Grill or Sides Bar and Pool here at the Knoxville Nationals. Why do you race sprint cars?
Because the best form of motorsport going, without a doubt. It's just fantastic.
A lot of people say that, and they haven't driven the variety of things that you've driven to back that up. Because if we go through it, you ran a touring car around Bathurst, you won a NASCAR championship, Formula 500s, you've had the dirt bike stuff as well. You raced indoors at the Burswood Superdome in a speed car for Wayne Cover.
Yeah.
So you've kind of, you've done a few disciplines.
Yeah, without a doubt. But sprint cars just have it all. The power, the speed, the agility, where you could just move them past. It's just, it just blows them all away. Bikes would be close if you're a little bit safer.
Yeah.
But, just love sprint cars. The power to weight ratio.
How much longer will you do it?
Till I've had enough. I'm not sure when that'll be.
Yep.
But I'm definitely slowing down. The boys are doing good, and I'm enjoying watching them race. So I guess that's a sign that it's possibly coming. But watch the boys race a bit more and race around here as much as I can.
When you tell someone about Knoxville, if someone was going to Knoxville for the first time, and we should include up there on the wall on the roof is a Dingus banner. Tell people what should they expect about going to the Knoxville Nationals, Max.
You expect awesome racing, but you probably expect something totally different. It's a very small town out in the cornfields, and you wouldn't imagine such a prestigious event would be held in such a small town, but it is, and the whole town gets behind it. Like the Ivy shopping centre becomes t-shirt sales places and all sorts of things. The whole town comes alive. The worst thing about Knoxville Nationals is being there on a Sunday morning. If you happen to be there, it's like tumbleweed running down the streets. There's no one there. The joint's gutted, and it's almost a tear-moving moment.
Yeah.
It's sad on the day after, but the whole week for the build-up, the hype is just amazing from the whole city, really.
So people should get there.
Absolutely.
That's all we have time for this episode of Speed Stories and the Road to Knoxville. We'll look forward to catching up with you tomorrow, though, when our next episode airs.